Hello, hello, hello. We're at it again. We're at fourth studio album from the Penguin Cafe Orchestra, Signs of Life, originally released March 1987. These are going down well. I like these albums, but you want to hear me talk about what you wanted me to eulogise a drummer, don't you? That's much more popular. Why? I do not know. But anyway, Signs of Life, fourth studio album, Penguin Cafe Orchestra, very important record for this album, broke the band. Yeah, it got to number 49 in the UK album charts and features probably one of their biggest songs, or one of the most well-known songs that's been used in many, many things. The band, or Simon Jeffs per se, because he's the writer, he finds himself drawing more and more inspiration from Americana, from Western music. When I mean Western, I mean cowboys, Aaron Copland, that kind of composing. But we'll get to that. There's another album coming where I can talk about that. Opens with Beanfields, which is again a well-known piece because that was used to advertise. It was either Channel Tunnel or Eurostar. I don't know if the Channel Tunnel had been rebranded at that point, but they'd used this Beanfields track, and it's a jaunty number. It's got ukuleles and violins, and it's a great little jaunty piece. But again, we're in the Midwest, yeehaw, and there's a lot of that on this album. This is followed by Southern jukebox music. See, even the titles betray the inspiration. This time is directly referencing, I believe, Aaron Copland as a composer, and this is a much more slow-paced, reflective piece of music. Again, these are memorable pieces. They have tunes, and there's like an A and a B side. If it was a single, they'd work really well together. They are a reflection of each other. This is followed by Horns of the Bull, which is a very interesting piece. How so? Because it's played on the fretless guitar, and you don't hear fretless guitar too often. I think Adrian Belew might have used one back in the day. Get the prog credentials in, but it sounds really unique and really interesting. And again, when I was listening to this for this review, the missus said, what instrument is that? Is that ukulele or whatever? And I said, no, it's a fretless guitar. I know because I had the album on my lap and it says so. I'm not very clever, but yeah, it's a really interesting piece. And when we come to Still Life at the Penguin Cafe, they do like a classical interpretation, with an orchestra, and the arrangement is really expanded, and you get a greater sense of the melodic content. It's not as obvious when you hear it in this version, because I think you are just listening to the instrumentation going, what is that? When you hear the Still Life at the Penguin Cafe Orchestra version, it's a different tune. It's the same tune, obviously, but it feels differently because it's been expanded upon, and it's really, really cool. It's really interesting how it can exist in two different forms, and that's what makes the music fascinating. This is followed by Oscar Tango. This, again, we slow it down a bit, very maudlin. It's just piano and strings. A bit sad, really. Bit of a sad moment, And then we go further into the weird with the Snake and the Lotus, which is a bass guitar part, and Jeffs plays this budlum, and it's more about, I don't know, tone and feel. It's more like a mood piece than anything else, because there's not a lot of melodic content to it. It's just, he's like kind of reveling in the sounds that he's drawing from the bass guitar more than anything else. It's an interesting piece. We've had that with Horns of the Bull. You get the feeling that Jeff's in his studio, he's feeding instruments into, I don't know, ring modulators and whatnot, and thinking that sounds interesting, and following that. So we have the very highly composed bits and the more improvised experimental side of things, which we'll see as the album goes on. talking of something that's written and very structured, Rosa Solis. I always trip over that one. Probably one of my favourite of the Penguin Cafe Orchestra tracks. If you want a deep cut, this one. It's almost like it is a precursor to Perpetuum Mobile. I wouldn't say it's a dry run. I think they both exist. They're a reflection of each other, and I think it's a really good track. I like the structure of it. It's got this Philip Glass metronomic beat running through it with the metronome, and like I say, you can draw parallels between this and Perpetuum Mobile. We turn the album over. He says he illustrates by turning the album over, and we have Dirt. Dirt is a great one. We're heading toward now. We're still in America. We're going to South America, for the ukuleles are there, and it's got this a really good build up. In the performance they do on the South Bank show, they show pictures of trains, and you get a sense of movement, the rhythm of the track. And there's a great bit in it where Jeffs slides along the guitar and goes clang. There's a great, again, I'm going to use onomatopoeia here. There's a great clanging guitar piece in it, and there's this chord that's struck, but it punctuates the song. I just think it's brilliant. I just love it. It just makes the song for me. And that's without the penny whistles. There's a really good penny whistle melody line that comes in, which is echoed with the strings, and there's some really good interplay with the various instruments here, and it's a really strong one. It's a good one. Sketch. Again, we remain in South America. It's ukulele. It's very, again, it's all like geography. It's like a geography lesson. It's a very nice, pleasant piece. But we then get to the meat and potatoes of the album. Perpetuum Mobile, probably one of the biggest tracks from the band. Again, it's been sampled, and Swedish DJ Avicii, he used it in his single, which was then subsequently sampled by Leona Lewis. And again, it's been used in a lot of TV and movies and adverts and whatnot. So it's something that you may be aware of. And again, the Penguin Cafe Orchestra, their music's been used in many movies, which I haven't even talked about yet. Like Malcolm, it's very important. It's an Australian movie from the previous year, from 1986, which it's one of my favourite films. Funny enough, I didn't realise it at the time. I remember seeing it back in the day and being delighted by it, and then all this stuff converges, and you go, wait a minute. Oscar and Lenny is another film that they put their music to. Napoleon Dynamite, music from A Found Irony. That one's been used an awful lot. More recently, The Handmaid's Tale used Perpetuum Mobile. Mary and Max in 2009, which is an Australian animated feature, used Perpetuum Mobile and Prelude and Yodel. So yeah, there's an awful lot of Penguin stuff out there used in soundtracks. But yeah, Perpetuum Mobile, with its again very structured piece. It's got that same metronomic feel that Rosa Solis has. And I think they're really good companion pieces to each other. Then we have Swing the Cat, and the title, again, it's like Southern jukebox music or Beanfields. The title alone tells you what we're doing here. It's we're at the hoedown. We're back in the Wild West again. We've got a cowboy hat on. We're wearing our chaps, and we are swinging the cat. Not literally. I imagine it's a dance. Swinging the cat is a dance because it sounds like it's just. It's so funny it coming after Perpetuum Mobile. It makes you laugh. It raises a smile. And then the album, it disappears up its own fundament with Wildlife, which is Simon Jeff's another exercise in minimalism. And yeah, he plays it opens with a clang of a triangle, and the triangle is played all the way through it, and it's the heart of it. But it's just about space. It's not about, again, it's more like a tone poem, than anything else. It's just 10 minutes, nearly 11 minutes of minimalism. Again, part of me thinks it's really interesting, it's a textural piece, but it's kind of out of line with what, the rest of the record. And like I said, the album kind of just disappears. It's, and I'd argue you've got a really strong 40-minute album there if you drop this one off and then did the album with Swing the Cat, because it's a pretty lively piece to end the album with, or end it with Perpetuum Mobile even. So yeah, it's one of those pieces that really, leaves me feeling, conflicted inside, because part of me thinks this is really interesting, and there's another part of me thinks he ran out of ideas. It's one of those. But yeah, it's a very important album for the Penguins. It's them. This is their peak. This really is their peak in terms of popularity. Everybody knowing who they were, because the music being used so widely, and this is like the peak of their career, and that's that. We've got a live album to do. Well, we're getting there. We're just going to go through the rest of the records. We're just going to go through it. It's going to be great. But anyway, I've been talking about Signs of Life again. Emily Young did the sleeve art, of course. Thumbnail. And it's the usual gang on there. So we have Neil Rennie, Steve Nye, Ellen Liebman, Bob Loveday, Jeffrey Richardson, Gavin Wright, playing on the album. And yeah, and that's that. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you haven't, there's going to be more. I've got all the compilations to do now. Do I do the compilations all as one, or do I string it out? Because there's loads of compilations. God blimey, there's loads of compilations. Anyway, thanks for watching. I've been thoroughly enjoying this little walk through the discography of the Penguin Cafe Orchestra, even though the rest of you might not be and not be watching. It's a shame, because these are very interesting albums, and this is what annoys me when people go, oh, prog music, and then you've got something that's genuinely progressive and melds different cultural music forces together to create something unique with what Jeff's did. He brought in music from South America, Africa, Japan, to the Far East, and of course UK folk music, and brings it all together. And they go, no, that's not prog. And you go, you're missing a bloody trick here. You people, So I get a little bit exasperated, because I think everyone should be listening to this rather than insert some other prog person. I'm not going to even mention them by name anymore. It's getting boring. Anyway, that was a little rant. That was almost a rant, wasn't it? Thanks for watching. Signs of Life. Listen to it now. Ta-da.